Hello and welcome to Vampire the Masquerade Long Beach by Night, Season 2, Epilogue 4, Kleinod. Let's meet our vampire.
Hello, I'm D'Artagnan Italiano. I am playing Alquist Lacia,
The Aquas Lucia.
the magnificent, pragmatic, and ultimately gorgeous Alquist Lacia.
What can you say about Alquist that he hasn't already said about himself, right?
Well, so many things.
uh, Again, and as always, as independent content creators, we rely on the generosity of viewers like you, both in the form of your bits and tips, but also in the form of supporting the companies and sponsors that make this show possible. Of course, sort of hard times out there. So if you have the ability to support our sponsors, maybe buy some cool new accoutrement for your home, please mute D'Artagnan. Please do. First is Dogmite. You've seen my cool storyteller's screen. I can't do it here, or it would look like I was broadcasting from a treehouse. But Dogmite Games has a ton of kick-ass gaming gear for your gaming needs. They have custom screens, 30 different templates. Please visit dogmite.com to find the perfect screen for you, especially because you're home playing games right now, right? Backblaze, backblaze.com/Long Beach by Night. Hashtag Yev is canon. Yev might also be Kane. Yev might also be Juan. So here's the thing. We've already established Yev might be Kane and Juan might be Kane. But have we established that Yev might be Juan? Have we seen Yev and Juan in the same place? But Backblaze will help keep all of your data safe. $6 a month, no strings attached. You can back up videos, photos, anything you've got. You can access it via mobile device. If you need to do a backup, they will send you a hard drive. If you like to back up from the hard drive, after you've done your backup, you can send it back and they will refund your money. Visit, again, backblaze.com/Long Beach by Night to find out more. Only $6 a month. And Level Up Dice, the makers of fine gaming accoutrement for the discriminating tabletop player. Of course, I have my beloved Ventru dice. Again, they have dice for every clan that matters. I said what I said. Please visit levelupdice.net. Or you can visit my personal link of bit.ly/LUDB Dave Walters to find out more. And last but certainly not least, Games for Love. Games for Love is a kindness-oriented 501c3 charity aimed at easing the suffering of children, especially now. Obviously, a lot of times kids that had compromised immune systems are having to go into very hard quarantine, and it is proving to be difficult for them. So we're raising money to buy them gaming consoles and Switches so they can play Animal Crossing and do all of those fun things. Every $10 donated directly impacts 2 children. So visit gamesforlove.org to find out more. Now, with that being said, on with our vampire story. Alquist Lazier.
Yes.
By now, some nights have passed. It's been probably about a week since the event at St. Valentine's show when the Giovanni attacked. Again, now you found after the events happened, there was a concerted effort from a number of influential kindred to essentially bury what happened and to make sure that the entire thing was essentially promoted to the people as a tragic accident. There was a misfiring of the halon system in the club, and it did result in a lot of human lives, but essentially no negative press came back on St. Valentine. No negative press came back on the venue. There were some memorial services held, but in the nights past, life has more or less gone back to normal. What has Alquist been doing in the in-between time?
Well, of course, I've been looking after my business, and actually, Lacia's Meats have set up a small charity for the families that were affected by this terrible incident. So that was one of the things I was doing. I was making sure, of course, the resort was fully working and up to date with everything we need, possibly to keep out any of the ghouls and such that try to wander our way. I have been spending quite a few hours, not too much because Vi has been a bit often her head, but most of those hours has been spent with Vi trying to reestablish our lost relationship.
You have found a good amount of positive PR out of this, Alquist. Again, in the wake of the completely unfounded murder allegations that you'd
Of course.
endured last year,
Yes, of course.
you have found kind of a new renaissance. You definitely got some magazine covers and recovered some of that social goodwill. So this has been a good time for you. In light of that, a few nights later, you got a mysterious invitation to come back down to San Diego for a sumptuous banquet at Balboa Park to meet. Um, you swear it said to come and present yourself before the new prince?
Hmm. Interesting. Um, I'm sure my assistant Ryan can always help me with this.
Well, as we find ourselves now, you are in your vehicle heading south down to San Diego, and Ryan is at the wheel. So let me ask you two questions. What is your vehicle, and what does Ryan look like now that Ryan has found a way out of the phone that they've been trapped in all this time?
I was quite worried for some time, actually. So I'm currently in the back of a 1963 Lincoln limousine, all black, of course. Uh, and Ryan Cornerstone is a very tall and bronze-skinned beauty of a woman, and she makes sure that everything is taken care of to my exact needs, and I am quite blessed to have her. Um, Yes, it was quite a find to find this wonderful assistant.
And how long has Ryan been in your service?
Oh, she's been with me for almost 20 years now. Yeah.
Mm. And I'm sure she's loved every single second of it. Yes.
Of course. No complaints from her.
As you are approaching the city, she says, Mr. Lazier, we haven't been back to San Diego in quite some time since that whole debacle last year. Are you sure that everything's going to be all right? Like, are people going to be happy to see us here?
I mean, have you met me, Ryan? Of course they're happy to see me. I'm Alquist Lazier.
I understand, sir, but not everyone has had the joy of coming to know you like I have. I
Yes,
I,
it's
I guess
true.
I'm sorry, sir. You might recall we did leave sort of a number of bodies in our wake when we left originally.
Yes, but I don't think anyone knows it was a tribute to me at all. It was more with the whole Inquisition and the hunt down.
Well, I suppose. And I have missed Balboa Park, but I didn't think that was open to hosting events there. I thought it was just public. Like, how did they manage to shut the whole thing down for a
Yes,
party or whatever this is?
this is quite curious. Do you know anything about this prince?
Well, when we left, there was no prince. Um, and I think that was part of the problem down here. Everything sort of started falling apart. No one was in charge, and then the Inquisition just started grabbing people. And now this person, I don't. They didn't even give a name. Um, says they're
Mm,
the new prince.
should
I
we be
don't know.
worried?
She just sort of like pushes her coat to the side, and you see where she's got a large handgun kind of tucked in a show armpit holster, and she's like, "I'm always worried about you, sir."
What would I do without you? Always.
Probably have met the final death some time ago, sir.
It's quite true. You've saved my life a number of times.
Well, you saved mine. Without you, who knows where I'd be now, right?
Oh, stop it. You'd probably be the CEO of some rival company.
Yeah, I probably would. But I'm glad to be here with you. You know what? Hang on. I'm gonna stop talking because this sounds like I'm giving you like the goodbye speech when we're going to this dangerous place. Just But sir, do you remember Vannevar Thomas in San Francisco? Do you remember what he was like?
I don't.
Okay. Well, Vannevar was a Ventru, you might recall, and he didn't deal well with disrespect. In his woman Suzanne, his seneschal, she seemed so sweet and innocent, but she was neither. I don't know how these people are going to be, but princes are princes, and they all kind of don't like being upstaged.
Well, you will have to get used to it. I am, of course, always front and center on the stage.
Speaking of, that was really great what you did at St. Valentine's show. I didn't know you were that good of an actor. It's like I thought it was him.
Of course, I spent a few years in New York studying the arts. I never told you, but it was quite an interesting time. Lots and lots of orgies. Good times.
You never cease to amaze, sir. Uh, we're pulling up now. Do you want me to stay with the car or do you want me to stay with you?
Let's stay with the car, but keep an eye out.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. As you pull in to Balboa Park, you remember it well, Alquist, since you lived in San Diego for some time.
Mhm.
It is a huge area, maybe 1,300 acres, that includes not just the world famous San Diego Park, but numerous fountains and lakes and like walking paths. It is made of a beautiful Spanish style architecture. And here in the night, it glows brightly. Where not only are all the buildings illuminated, but there's been a small torches set up intermittently to give it just sort of like a very warm and inviting appeal. I mean, of
Mm,
course, usually kindred are not fans of flames, but for the most part, these are small enough and spaced evenly enough that the light is pleasant, even if you don't necessarily want to touch it.
mhm.
And as you pull up, someone comes to the back door to open it for you.
Fantastic. I let them open it.
The door opens, and you see a very large man in a very well fitted tuxedo. He looks like he probably was an NFL linebacker of some sort at one point. And he opens the door and he steps back and he's like, Mr. Alquist Lazier?
Yes, dear.
He's like, welcome to Prince Bata's Elysium. And he just bows.
Prince Batas. I do not bow.
He's like, can I get you anything? Are you hungry?
Yes, if you can get some willing participants to help me feed, that would be fantastic.
He's like, absolutely. Please come with me, sir. And you notice when he starts walking through the huge, magnificent archway into the open courtyard of this area of Balboa Park, immediately when he walks away, seamlessly, another very large man in a very nice tuxedo just walks up and stands where he was, and nobody, without blinking an eye. As you walk in, you notice there is a large gathering taking place here. There may be 100 people. You see, there is a spectrum of things from people wearing very ornate and lavish ball gowns that probably, if they look like they date back to the 16th century, and they may actually, powdered faces, powdered wigs, the whole nine yards. You see, other people are wearing head to toe tuxes that looks like they might have been more fitting a military officer from like the Eastern Front during World War One. You see other people who look like they have the newest and most cutting edge fashion that is going to be displayed at this year's Fashion Week in Paris. There are so many different appearances, but one thing they all have in common is they are all incredibly lavish. Everyone is very dressed up. What does Alquist look like tonight?
My kind of party. Well, I have a Versace suit on, of course. The latest edition. Me and the company go way back. Uh, it's an all black suit with one kind of like flowery tie going down. That's like a little bit. That's like the only thing that pops off. But everything else is kind of like black and subtle tones. So not
While
really this.
I mean, it is, but it isn't.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a obfuscation effect. You're like you look right at me, but you see something else.
It's all
Uh,
illusions.
as you are making your way in, the large man sort of stops for a moment, and he's like, he just kind of like points at a couple of people who stop what they're doing and head your direction. And he turns and looks at you, and he's like, Mr. Lazier, with respect, are you familiar with the rules of an Elysium?
It's been a while, so maybe a refresher would be kind of you.
It's- you do me an honor of allowing me to speak with you so openly. Uh, Simply put, we do not use any of our abilities in here. This is a peaceful place. It is a safe place. And while you're in here, no harm will come to you, but you also must do no harm to anyone else. And if you are caught in violation of these simple rules, you may be subjected to the prince's justice.
Of course.
And he steps back, and you see a young man and a young woman walk up. Um, the young man is wearing, again, the one of the nicest suits you could probably buy on Rodeo Drive right now. And the
Mhm.
woman is wearing just a black cocktail dress. And they walk up and they're like, yes, hello. And he's like, this is Mr. Alquist Lazier. He would like to have a word with you. And they both turn and look at you. And the guy turns his head for a second and he's like, oh, I read about you. You've been doing all that charity work in Long Beach. Oh, that's fantastic. And he reaches out to shake your hand.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Hmm.
And I kind of shake it all half-assed.
The wet fish handshake
Yeah,
there.
yes, thank you.
Uh, the woman just looks at you and her eyes get big and she's like, that is so sweet of you. That was so sad. What happened to those poor people? Were you there? Were you in Long Beach?
I was nearby, yes. I was not in the club, but yes, I was there.
She just puts her hand on your shoulder and she's like, that is so sad.
I know, it's terrible. No, hopefully we can help the families that were affected.
You notice real tears are building up in her eyes, not blood tears. The large man looks at you one more time and he's like, I will leave you to your evening, Mr. Lazier. You do understand the parameters of the Elysium, correct?
Yes, of course. No
Uh,
harm.
and also, no disciplines.
Yes, yes, of course.
You are an honored guest. At some point, someone will be around to collect you for your audience with the prince. All right?
Fantastic. Thank you,
I-
dear.
If you need anything, I'll be right over there.
Perfect.
And he turns and departs.
He
Yeah.
turns into parts.
No, he turns and departs. Yeah, no,
Oh.
it's like Minecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was like, wait, what just happened?
yeah. We're just going full into body horror. The dude just, yeah. He turns and departs, leaving you with these two people here,
Hmm.
and they're just looking at you. They're like, yeah. So
So, would you two like to join me into a more secluded location?
they sort of look at each other and they're like, oh yeah, absolutely, 100%, whatever you like.
Oh, perfect. I would like to take them to the nearest room and let's say eat a little.
So here's the question, Mr. Alquist Lazier. Do
Yes.
you just sort of take a bite and keep moving? Do you use lingering kiss? Do you go with the full thing? Like, I mean, are you here on business or are you here on pleasure? I guess is my.
Well, to go full deeps in Alquist Lacier, he's always in the business of pleasure. So I would like to bring him to a secluded location, seduce first, and do some moves, and then take a bite. Maybe stay a little bit until I get woken, or not woken, but disturbed by someone that needs me to deal with the prince thing. I tend to get too involved in the physical aspect of these things and lose track of time.
Checking your watch is contrary to the spirit. I understand, Alquist.
Exactly.
Well, you find them both very willing participants, and
I was curious.
that was interesting. Okay, I apologize. There, I don't think that was me. I don't know what that was. You find them again both very open and willing participants, and they do in fact allow you to feed, and they are very enthusiastically consenting. and you know, you don't even have to use any of your well, let me ask you, do you use any of your presence powers?
This is all natural charm, baby. It's all natural charm.
You know, and it works, Alquist. You know, it's been a while since you relied just on the fundamentals, but no, they.
Those are important, you know.
That's what makes mastery. Is just that. Yes. And no, it is in many ways it is a more fulfilling time because you know they're choosing this, you know, of their genuine own free will. And after some time passes, you do hear sort of a
Like, uh, yes.
Mr. Lazier.
Dear, can you answer the door, please? And I look at both of them. Whatever one decides to do it.
The guy sort of like gets up and walks over to the door again, you know, full Fight Club. And just sort of opens the door and stands there. And you barely make out two people on the other side that just immediately go, oh dear. Uh, when convenient, Mr. Lazier, could you join us back outside, please?
Yes, dear. Of course. Sorry. Just imagining that was hilarious for me.
A moment later, the guy closes the door and he's like, yeah, I guess it's time for the rest of the party. But after the party, if you want an after party.
Oh yes, we must do this again. Maybe bring some more of your friends.
The woman's eyes light up and they're like, oh yes, okay, yeah, we'll yeah, I would love to. Thank you. You're just so kind and just so.
Thank you, dear. I kiss her hand,
And she's like,
and then bite her neck.
Of course, she loves it. You know, being fed upon is pleasurable for all mortals, and the kiss of Alquist Lazier especially so.
Mm.
She's
I lose
just
myself sometimes.
she just sort of gently, you know, rubs your arm a little bit while you do. Presumably, you do not take the final point from either of them, I assume. Okay.
No, never.
Just making sure.
Not on.
I'm presumably after that you get dressed and make your way out.
Of course.
Okay. When you get outside, you see two people that look almost like they're dressed like librarians, if you had to wager a guess. The man is wearing a sweater vest with sort of a blazer over it and a bow tie, and has glasses and combed over hair. He looks slightly antiquated. Like, I mean, he looks like he's probably out of the 80s. And the woman looks slightly more modern. You know, Alquist, give me your wits and awareness to see if you notice something. You may or may not. I believe in you, though.
I believe in you. goodness. I always have the wits and awareness are always not that high for me.
I believe in you.
3 successes.
You notice that the woman is also wearing I shudder to say some sort of off the rack garb, maybe something ordered off the interwebs, Alquist. But you do notice there is a red and gold pattern to what she's got on that you've seen in those wizard movies that Reese is always on about some boy that was he grew up and his family made him live under the stairs and then he killed a man with no nose. The details are
A bit fuzzy.
right, but you do recognize that color scheme. um, uh, and they just stand there like with smiles on their faces when you come out.
Um, yes. How can I help you?
Have you been having a pleasant evening so far, Mr. Lazier?
Oh, well, I am always having a pleasant evening. Who am I speaking to?
Uh, the man says, "Well, you can call me Kakothes, and she's Scribendi. I know they're weird names. You don't have to remember them. No one ever does."
Right, right. So, K and S, I guess. Uh,
It's a C, but yes, you can call me K, sir. That would be fine.
oh, perfect.
Call me Coco. Coco and Bendy. How about that?
Coco and Bendy.
Coco and
Perfect.
Bendy. It's
Uh,
that's and they do sort of look at each other like they're okay, hey, Coco and Bendy. This will work. Yeah. hmm
and how may I help you two?
We are here to help you, sir. We would like to introduce you around to some people.
All right. Take me away then.
You as they bring you back out again, there is the party has built up some. Again, it is by no means a rager. It is very much more cocktail party. Right? Yeah. Minimal- more. Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly. More organ in the corner type
All right.
thing. Yes. Although even in their day, those people still went hard though. So, but,
Don't underestimate the organ.
I mean, again, Alquist, you've been to enough of these things that by 2 in the morning, there's going to be some bloomers in the fountain. You know, you're like, everybody's all together now, but you know how this ends. Yes. Most of the people here you see are clustered into smaller groups. Like, I mean, there's probably 150 people here, but there's not really many more groups larger than about 10 to 15. So it's like that kind of cluster, that kind of cluster, that kind of cluster. And they're sort of spread out in this, again, lavish area next to this outdoor water installation. It's to call it a fountain doesn't do it justice because it's gigantic, but it is also by no means a pool because you're not supposed to get into it. So it is just a beautiful courtyard water feature.
Yet. That's what
And
yet.
yet, yes. They walk along with you and they're like, first of all, we would just like to thank you for accepting the prince's invitation to come down and spend some time with us tonight, Mr. Lazier. uh
Yes, of course. Who is this prince?
oh, you will meet the prince shortly, but there are some other people that wanted to make your acquaintance first. And he sort of points over to a group of people where you see a gorgeous purple-haired woman standing there. She is laughing and smiling and talking to people. She honestly looks a lot like you, Alquist. You think if somebody were to take you and you were to be exactly reversed into a woman, I mean, dreams do come true sometimes, Alquist. It would be
Oh,
her. Yeah.
this is a wet dream of mine.
She's talking and chatting and and pshawing people and everything. He's like, give me your wits and awareness again, or streetwise if you have more streetwise.
I don't.
I realize the old Alquist didn't have too much, but you've been through some things. You know, you never know.
Yeah, I'm just gonna spend a willpower.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get full deeps. No, I got 4.
Um, you've seen her. You've seen her. You're like, again, you spent some time in San Diego. You know, like there was a club, there was a party. I mean, again, you know, sometimes when you're in those cuddle puddles, that could be anybody. But you know, you're like, no, I remember that face.
Mm,
Yeah, you've seen her before.
what? I'm just gonna walk up to her. Oh, actually, well, up the 2 people with me.
Mm,
Who is that purple-haired woman there?
Uh, they're like, oh yes, that is Zaz. She is also one of your fellow Toreador, if the stories are true.
Interesting. Zaz, you say? Would you be so kind to introduce us?
Oh, absolutely. Please. Yes. And you see the young woman pull something out and she's writing something down like physically on paper. She's just like making notes and like pushing her glasses up every once in a while.
Um, what are you doing there?
Oh, I'm just keeping notes about the social interplays that are taking place tonight. It has I have come to realize that kindred society is dictated by connections, not just in the forms of boons owed, but also just um, w- friends and frenemies, I believe. So it's just it's fascinating to watch. It's like I would call it anthropology, but is it still anthropology when everyone is dead?
I guess it's curious, but why are you doing it for me?
Oh, you're fascinating, Mr. Lazier. And she does turn around and she shows you the what she says. It really is just like this person talked to this person this long, this person talked to this person this long, and then there's like an arrow of like where both of them like it. She is like basically making like a mind map of just like sort of who spoke with who. Yeah.
You don't get out much, do you?
Oh, I far prefer the company of my books. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, people would think I was a Ravenclaw because of how much I like to read, but no, I identify as Gryffindor.
Gryffindor. I've heard this before. What are you speaking of?
Oh, Harry Potter, sir. Haven't you read the books?
Harry Potter. No. Is this like an old wizard thing or something? Reese was telling me about it quite a while ago. Is it historically accurate?
Oh, no, sir. Oh, I do wish. I do wish. I have come to learn quite a bit about the mystical arts, however. Did you know? And when she starts talking, the man, Coco, just sort of goes, Bindi. Let's not burden Mr. Lazier with theory crafting about the mystical arts, right? And she goes, "Oh, yes, correct. Yeah, let's just introduce you to Zaz, sir."
Oh, yes, of course.
And as they walk up, you see she sees you approaching and she just motions and the crowd parts for you. And she just goes, Alquist Lazia, as I live and breathe. Hello, darling. And comes over and just plants a huge kiss right on your lips.
Oh, Azaz, I presume, and you could tell I'm slightly nervous, which is not a normal trait for Alquist.
You remember me, Alquist? I have to tell you, that winter in Telluride, Colorado was life changing.
Oh, yes, I do remember. Do you remember the chipmunks that got involved at around like 3 in the morning?
Woo-hoo-hoo! The chipmunks, you know, I found out later they can talk to those poor darlings, and I felt so guilty. I bet they went home with some stories for their chipmunk mamas, didn't they?
Oh. They had quite a few books to write after that one, yes.
Oh my god, Alquist, what are you doing here? I'd been told that you had vacated San Diego.
Well, I did for a while, but it seems that the prince requested me personally.
You notice when You say the prince requested me personally, like the kind of the gregariousness sort of like goes down a bit to sort of like she did.
Yes, she did.
Oh, well, that's fine. That is fine. Of course, the prince has to know all the influential kindred in an area, right? And you still have substantial holdings in San Diego, correct?
Yes, you. Of course I do. You know that my business is down here as well.
Yes, Lazia's meat. It's it again that was terrible. All that negative press that you had to endure last year. I felt so sorry for you, darling.
Yes, we had an incident with a rival business partner.
Well, I heard everything. You know, some people might believe that you are still just a killer that spent your money to bury the lead on what really happened, but I personally believe you, darling. I believe it happened exactly like you say.
Zaz, of course, it's exactly how I say, because that's what happened. I would never kill mindlessly, at least.
Uh, would you mind if we took like a little bit of a walk for a moment, Alquist?
Yes, of course. Lead the way.
She hooks her arm under yours, and you see Coco and Bendy are about to walk behind you, and she just turns and looks at them, and they both just like stop, and then she sort of keeps walking, and she's like, "So, Alquist,
Yes.
can I be honest with you, rose to rose?
Oh, of course you can, dear.
I don't mean to seem unladylike, but I'm finally starting to get some traction down here in San Diego. And you know as well as I do, there can only ever truly be one belle of the ball.
Of course.
I just wanted to make sure that your appearance down here, and don't get me wrong, your appearance, your company is welcome. It's always welcome. I just wanted to make sure, and she sort of stops and looks right at you, that it's temporary.
Well, dear, you know that I may or may not stay. Depends on how I feel. But you always have my support, of course. I would never impede on your territory.
Well, that's good. That's good. And she just sort of like smooths out your lapels, and she's like, we we Toreador, we like to do things civilized. We like to talk. I'd far prefer to show you my gratitude than threaten you with my anger. I'd rather we both be pleasantly fulfilled.
I completely agree. Anger is such a silly emotion that is meant for the weak-minded.
Excellent, excellent. And she takes your arm again and starts walking along. And she's like, "Well, let me give you just a little bit of a lowdown on what's been happening here, okay?
Yes.
For your own edification. Again, I realize some of these other barbaric clans, they twist and manipulate each other with half truths and lies. So maybe at least you and I can be a little more forthcoming with each other.
Of course.
So, and she very much like starts whispering and just like giving you all the tea. Like she's like, so him over there, he is heavily invested in pharmaceuticals, but street pharmaceuticals, if you know what I mean. And him over there, he makes his haven down underneath the stadium, that baseball stadium over there, that big old thing. Uh, well, he is all up in those showers, if you know what I'm saying. And she just proceeds to just like give you all the filth on everyone.
I'm just doing that. Oh, ooh, oh, no. Really? My goodness.
She's like, finally, when Tara, the old Baron, Tara Cunning, she switched her allegiance over to the Camarilla, tried to take all of San Diego over to the Ivory Tower, where they might find some peace and order. In my experience, these anarchs, it's just they just thrown around constantly, like they got no roots. And
Yes. No tact with them.
yeah, right. It's just, you can still be genteel. They're unsouthern,
Yes,
Alquist. They're unsouthern.
I agree. No manners amongst the lot of them.
Well, they strung her right up, and nobody seen Tara in a minute. She went up to Los Angeles for something and didn't come back. And after again, gentlemanly period, it was decided that there needed to be someone over San Diego again. And there was a small praxis that was undergone. They went through the proper channels, and now we have a new prince.
Hmm. That is quite interesting. But why is it that they requested me? Do you know?
I don't. But I
Interesting.
hope after you find out, you'll tell me.
Oh, of course. You know I keep no secrets from you, Zaz.
Mm. She does just like straighten your tie a little bit. And she's like, I can still smell those modals on you. It's so delightful. That when I get that secondhand scent, it's like, do you remember what it was like to have like when it's like you eat the pizza on the second day? Wait, have you ever had real pizza?
I have not, but I've seen a few mortals enjoy it in between our sessions.
Well, let's just say some things are always better the second time around.
Mm, I do agree. You know, a few of us are meeting a little later. If you would like to join.
Well, she looks back at the group she was with. She's like, I might also have my own ensemble, but I would love to arrange a personal interlude with the Alquist Lazia.
Oh, well, then let us arrange this. And I
She, oh, go ahead, sorry.
say I hand her my business card with the information.
She takes it and slides it down into her brassiere, and she leans in like she's about to kiss you again, but she just like stops and looks, and she's like, all right, darling, I think things are about to go up a notch. Just mind your P's and Q's, all right?
Yes, dear, always.
And she sort of nods, and you see a woman heading your direction. She looks, honestly, she looks like she might be about 18. In a different set of circumstances, you would think she was a child. But the way that she walks and like carries herself, like it is clear she is not 18.
Hmm,
She is wearing a blue suit, like sky blue
mm,
suit. It is still very much tailored to look feminine, but it has like thick dark lines on it, and she's wearing black heels and her nails are black. She's got very brown skin and just absolute midnight black hair.
mm,
um she looks like she's probably a Native American or maybe like ethnically South American. Like it's difficult to tell,
hmm.
but she just walks up to you and she's like, Alquist Lazier.
Yes. How may I help you, dear?
Um, she opens her mouth like she's about to say something, and you see Coco and Bendy literally come running up. Like they're like, oh, apologies, Seneschal. We were trying to give Mr. Lazier and Zaz a moment to speak. We did not mean to not present him properly. And she just like holds her hand up, and they're just like, and she looks at you and smiles. And again, she's fairly petite. She's only like 5'3". Like physically, she is not very large at all, but her presence is huge. You can see she's a very intense person.
Mm.
She says, my name is Validi. I am the Seneschal of San Diego. I understand you've spent some time outside of the Camarilla system. So, do you know what that word means, sir? I do not mean to insult your intelligence. I just want to make sure that we're speaking to each other clearly.
It's been a while since I've been invited to something like this, so yes, I'm not quite sure.
She doesn't take her eyes off of you, and she's like, "You can go." And you notice both the two Coco and Bendy turn and walk away, and even Zaz is like, well, then I will leave you all to it. And she like a full curtsy. And she's sort of like, you see, she's kind of like looking over her shoulder at you as she sort of like goes back to her group. She's like, I'm the Seneschal. That means I'm the prince's right hand.
Mm,
I make sure things run on a day-to-day basis or night to night, I suppose, and that the prince's will is done in all ways and all times and all places.
yes, I could tell from your presence, at least, that you
Mm.
are quite powerful.
She's like, I believe it is you who are known for your presence, sir.
Oh, you flatter me.
She holds a hand out.
Yeah, I shake it, but not the shitty one.
Right, a real handshake.
A real
You know,
handshake.
her hand is like a vice. Again, she's very small. She would look like a gymnast under different circumstances. But like again, she doesn't hurt you. But I mean, her handshake is as firm as Joey's when you
Mm,
felt his. Like shrink.
okay.
she's like, very nice to meet you, Mr. Lazier. He's like, before I present you to the prince, do you have any questions?
Yes. What is the nature of this event?
This is the Elysium. This is where, and you notice when she talks, she is incredibly precise in her language. Like it very much sounds like someone who has learned English as a second language and is speaking it very technically precise, but
Mm.
sometimes lacking the nuance of how like people say things that it's like what you're saying is not inaccurate. That's just not how people talk. you know? It's like this is the Elysium. This is where kindred gather to um interact with one another and exchange favors and maintain the fabric of their society. And honestly, I don't really enjoy it.
Mm. Well, I mean, it seems like it can be quite fun if you just let yourself go for a few moments.
She sort of like adjusts her suit for a bit and she's like, I have let myself go a number of times and now I'm trying to actually keep things in a little bit.
Mm. Well, darling, you could always let me in and we can see where the night goes.
She just looks at you and she goes, the stories were true about you, Mr. Lazier.
Yes, all true. All good, I hope.
All true. She turns and she points towards, you notice it in this courtyard there is again, this is all Spanish style architecture, but there is a particularly large building there with an elaborate balcony. And she's like, might I present you to the prince now?
Oh, you might, yes.
She turns and she starts walking towards what looks like just a bare wall. It just looks dark over there. And she says, forgive me. I realize a certain amount of hypocrisy is intrinsic to kindred society. In the Elysium, we are not supposed to make use of our disciplines. However, in this particular case, I have special permission. And she just holds her hand out to you.
So I grab her hand.
She turns and she steps into the shadow and pulls you with her, and you step out inside of a room.
Mm.
It is uh warm and nice. It is almost like it is like a study. There is a fireplace burning and there are rows and rows and rows of books. Again, fire is not necessarily the most soothing thing, but it's small enough and far enough away that it's still aesthetically pleasing.
I keep my
Um
distance, nonetheless.
you notice there is a large wooden desk. Everything in here looks antique. There's a lot of earth tones, a lot of browns, and you feel like this probably would have been some sort of uh, governor's home or office, probably in the 17 or 1800s, if you had to wager a guess. And you see sitting there at the desk another woman who is also wearing a very like a very elaborate uh, gown that is sparkling white, but
Mm.
she is looking down at the desk working on something, and you see she's writing with a quill pen.
Hmm.
And the woman that brought you through, uh the lady just looks at you and she goes, present yourself.
Uh, yes. Hello, I am Alquist Lacia. I am assuming you're the prince, correct? I do like a
Uh,
curtsy bow.
she the person writing just says, yes, Mr. Lazier, I apologize. I was struck with inspiration and I just had to get this down while I could. Please, have a seat. And she motions with her hand, and one of the seats literally slides out. Across the room goes,
I sit in it.
Mhm. And she just stops and she looks up, and when she does you realize she's got a pair of very small red round spectacles that just sort of kind of like sit on the bridge of her nose.
Very cool.
And she looks up and she like takes them off and she gives you a very warm smile, and you notice she looks almost just like the other woman. Like you wouldn't say they could be sisters, but they could be cousins, they could be related. She also has the same brown skin, the same jet black hair.
Mhm.
She looks probably a little older. She looks like she might be 30, 32. Um, and again, she is wearing this like sparkling white gown that is honestly befitting a queen. And she just sort of like puts her hands like sort of down on the desk in front of her, and she goes, Alquist Lazier. Ah, at long last. I've been a fan of yours for a very long time.
Oh, well, it's pleasing to hear. Sadly, I do not have the pleasure of knowing you or your work.
Oh, I suppose you wouldn't. And the other woman walks up and she stands just like right behind you, Alquist. She's kind of just off to your right, so you can kind of catch her in your peripheral, you
Yeah.
know, but just sort of like stands behind you with like her hands kind of like, clasped in front of her. And she says, Alquist Lazier, I present you Prince Nephili Bata of Clan Tremere.
Hmm.
And yeah, right. Yeah. And
So
she just
pleased to meet your holiness. Yes.
she does laugh. She's like, yeah, I have missed you, Alquist. I have. You don't remember me, but I remember you. um, I've been in San Diego a long time. I've been in San Diego longer than San Diego has been San Diego. So I'm familiar with the comings and goings, and the influential people, such as yourself.
Hmm. Did we have something? Did I miss something when I was here in San Diego, or were you in the shadows?
She just sort of like moves her hair to the side and she's like, well, I suppose if I have to remind you, it couldn't have been much, huh?
Well, you know how it is with old age. It tends to muddle the mind a bit.
Give me your wits and awareness again, Alquist.
Yes, because I'm so good at
It's true. Come on, best you'll fail. Here we go. You're like, new plan, everybody dies.
that. I'm just like, ah. 4. Okay, that's not that bad. Maybe I don't know really.
No, no, that's not bad. Same as you're sitting here looking at her. Same thing. Like you've seen that face. I mean, again, you've been a part of kindred high society for over 100 years. You've been to countless balls and soirees and get-togethers, and for the most part, they all ended the same way for you.
With countless balls.
Yeah, yeah. So, you've seen you've seen her face, but there's nothing jumping out at you. You know,
Mm,
yeah.
mm. Well, I do apologize, dear. Could you refresh my memory?
Says I understand. Like I said, I've been here a long time, and a lot of times people overlook people like me. They always have, which is fine because it gave me the room to do the things that I need to do, and it worked. And here we are. I
Yeah,
am now Prince of San Diego.
you are quite powerful.
Nah, she's like, I mean, it has given me the opportunity to learn a couple of useful tricks. And when she says useful tricks, the fire in the fireplace comes out. It literally comes out into the middle of the room and like curls itself into a rose made out of fire for a moment and then goes back into the fireplace and continues burning.
Hmm, you must teach me that one day.
She's like, I don't know. I think your skills lay elsewhere, Alquist. And she stands up. And you see when she stands up in her heels, she's probably about 6'4", 6'5". You can tell she's and you see what her build is powerful. Like she looks like somebody who has lived off the land, basically. And she comes over and she stands in front of you and she says, I need someone like you. I need someone who understands people. I need someone who can work a room. I need someone who can talk people's pants off.
Well, I can do all of those things, dear. What exactly do you need me to do?
Do you know what a primogen is?
I do not. It seems I am learning many new things tonight.
When you say that, Variety just sort of gives you a little like he just sort of like nods at the corner. And Prince Bada looks at her and she's like, yes, lots of people are having to learn a new way to do things now. But I think everyone will come to realize eventually that the ivory tower wants what's best for all kindred. I want what's best for all kindred. And I am assembling a council of influential kindred that can help me make San Diego better, help me make San Diego safe for all of our kind. And a primogen speaks for their entire clan. I am asking you to be the head toreador for all of San Diego.
Well, that is quite an honor. But why me?
The truth is, Alquist, you don't remember me, but I do remember you. And for all of this facade of buffoonery,
Well,
I know just how smart you are. I know exactly what you're doing, Alquist, and I would like you to do it for me. And Validi just puts her hand on your shoulder and she's like, careful how you reply.
well, dear, and I like caress the forearm and hand, and it'd be fine. Uh, well, I don't see anything wrong with that. But what is? How do you say this politely? What's in it for me?
Power,
I already
influence.
have power.
Do you, Alquist? Do you really? And she just sort of like motions at Validi, and Validi just kind of smiles for a second, and you see her eyes turn jet black, and tentacles of shadow come out from behind her. And
Ah,
Nefeli holds her hand out, and the flames leap out and they land in her palm again. And she just sort of like sits on the edge of the desk looking down at it. And she's like, I understand that you've got influence, Alquist. But right now, if we wanted to destroy you, you would be as helpless as a mouse in front of a condor.
well, I think you underestimate the mouse.
Where am I? Where are my manners? And she like balls up her hand and the fire extinguishes. And when it does, you see the shadows dissipate also. She's like, I'm not one of those princes, Alquist. I'm not going to threaten you or bully you. And the truth is, if you tell me you're not interested, you absolutely will be able to walk out of here and go back to Long Beach, and it will be no harm, no foul. But I will have to have made note of the fact that you rejected my generous offer.
Oh,
So, like,
no
right
one is
now,
saying I rejected you.
sure, yes, I apologize. Yeah, I had a lot of bad influences and examples of how to do this job. You might know in Los Angeles, Prince Vannevar Thomas is getting some, shall we say, questionable results.
Yes,
Um,
so I hear.
I would like to let reason guide. So here is what I'm offering you. I'm offering you power, of course. I'm offering you influence. I'm offering you to plug you in with the Toreador on the world stage. And most importantly, I am offering you a chance to save the lives of all the kindred in Long Beach. And that is actually where we're going to stop.
Damn, I was so close to answering.
That is why we're stopping. Hashtag cliffhanger. So, thank you all for tuning in, and join us next week as we visit Saint Valentine and find out what happened to him after the storied events of his show. But in the meantime, Alquist, tell them who you are and where they can find you.
Yes, I am D'Artagnan Mataliano. You can find me at Dom Mataliano at any of the socials. That's DAMATTALIANO. Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed this game. Thank you so much, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. The pleasure's all mine. And yeah, thank you all. We'll see you next week.